Abusia LGBTQ ho nsɛm a ɛkɔso ɛwɔ my Ghana mu a ama ne homene so a yedi ho abobu obi a ɛdwene ho ɛkyerɛ na adwene wɔ ho no ɛnura nso ɔmo san so tena asɛm wei so ɛwɔ parliament a ɔmo ɛdwene kwan ɔmefa so na so ɔmo agye atumu so ɔmo nye ntumu ɛwɔ Ghana hɔ no ɔmo san so kɔtena so ɛdwene ho na video bi a mɛbɔ akyerɛ ɔmo ntimi no mabi ase ɔmo a ɔmo se bill no yɛmpa ase sɛ de bɛyɛ asade ne nkɔso wɔ Ghana no ɔmo no ti sei ene omo ye omo interview no so etisi na utie question omo ye omo interview ni ebuso omo a mebusa me ho se na saa no omo te ha no foa so se omo nye saa de no wo Ghana na we mu mfoa so ana asesei because mu nyina mu mfoa so de a ene wo se mo ba bankrom na mo kasa de we kura ne nka ho asem kwaje very important issues wo se discuss omo fo ma asem nko ba bi Israel ha se bi wa ha but omo de akonkon ho a obi anka ho hwe ye ntu mu wa ha so betima ye but akonkon ho enkonfo ye but in fast insi say kim se enkonfo there be enye ne sa ekonkon ho keke so ati ase mwetima ja o life o me ekonkon ho obi ye boni anam na famra kwan so akwa bi kwadi obi tui ya ma no 114 years o nkonko dem wo akwa dem to ati ase eti omo te ya na omo busa we mu questions no say me pa chaw owura adentina ase ma ye ngintum na say ni wo yes ase na sa no no obusa question ne fo aso say omo nye wo Ghana na ase say me nti asem na ase.
It is important that this bill is appreciated by everyone in this country. Reason being, one of the things this bill does is to protect our kids. Recently, the headmistress of Ola Girls could take it no more. And she's not the only headmistress. Several heads of schools are complaining about persons actively forming clubs under the guise of civil society organizations and offering commissions to students to recruit other students into lesbianism and homosexuality. How can this be said to be the privacy of two consenting adults? Two consenting adults get into the business of offering commission for the corruption of another man and woman's child? How can this be allowed to go on in our country? And Mr. Chairman, let no one tell you that they offer or they pose no threat to society.
Which lists the laws of Ghana, including the common law of Ghana, which is explained to include our customary laws. And you have clearly cited our customary law as one that frowns upon LGBTQ activities. Don't you think the Constitution plus Section 104 of Act 29 has already done the job you are seeking to do? In respect of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, there is some criminalization angle to the whole matter. Then you have the Constitution of the land, which is very clear. Why do you want to take us through this whole exercise again?
I'm very grateful, Honorable Chair. Act 29, Section 104, deals with unnatural carnal knowledge. And if you look at the definition of carnal knowledge in Banusin versus the Republic...
Hold on, please. I would want us to take some 3 questions and then you answer them more. Honorable Pankroma, welcome.
Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. I have 2 questions for the proponents of the bill. The first comes from commentary, public commentary, that aligns very much with what my good friend on the other side has just mentioned, that this bill is motivated primarily by an attempt of the pro-LGBT community to influence the Ghanaian society in a manner that is adverse to Ghanaian culture. And that if the proponents of this agenda were to let sleeping dogs lie, there will be no need to push further with this legislation. It's one of the views that I have come upon in my research prior to this meeting, and I want to see if the proponents will be willing to make a comment on that. Is that a fair view? That this is because they are pushing for it, and that if they keep the agenda to themselves, there will be no need to go further in this particular enterprise. That's one of the views.
Your memorandum indicates that Article 39 of the Constitution provides that the state should take steps to encourage the integration of appropriate customary values into the fabric of national life, and prescribes the mode by which the state shall do so, through formal and informal education and the conscious introduction of cultural dimensions to relevant aspects of national planning. That's what Article 39(1) says, and the mode by which it prescribes that the state takes measures to encourage integration of appropriate customary values into the fabric of our national life. It doesn't talk about punitive legislation. So why are we going down this path, citing that as a rationale for the passage of this bill? Secondly, I see that the definition of Ghanaian family values could be problematic if we were to pass this bill in the form in which it is and seek to enforce it. It includes respect for the sanctity of marriage as a lifelong relationship between a man and a woman, each of whose gender is assigned at birth. Lifelong relationship. So any attempt to disturb that lifelong relationship could be subject to the punitive sanctions prescribed under this bill. And so I've made the argument that slave queens, be careful. Sugar mummies and daddies, stand still, because you could be the unintended victims of this bill as we seek to encourage and promote respect for the sanctity of marriage as a lifelong relationship between a man and a woman. It also talks about the duty to uphold the cherished societal ideals of selflessness, communalism, good neighborliness, hard work, discipline, truthfulness, compassion towards the weak and vulnerable, acquisition of wealth through hard work and genuine entrepreneurship. All very admirable traits. But how do you legislate good behavior? How would you punish a lazy person under the auspices of this bill because it is not one of the cherished societal ideals? I'm a bad neighbor. Hey, I don't like people. Should I be thrown into jail for 2 to 4 months because I'm a bad neighbor? Truthfulness, that will catch almost everybody under the ambit, because most of us are prone to tell lies, white, black, green, blue, whichever form you take it. So there may be unintended consequences of this bill, not even looking at the sexual aspects of it, but the promotion of Ghanaian sexual values aspect of it. The definitions are way too broad, too encompassing, and can rope in people that we don't intend into their net. And so, what do you make of the definitions that you've prescribed in there? And intersex to be included as one of the crimes that the bill envisages. Someone who is born that way. There may be only 1 or 2% of people who fall under this category, but they are recognized that they don't have any clearly defined sexual characteristics at birth. Why are they to be criminalized for being born that way? Because they are intersex. And they are clear, even your definition of intersex is also problematic. It includes anyone who has a biological anomaly, including a person who is intersex. Biological anomaly. Okay, I'm born with one hand shorter than the other. That's a biological anomaly. I fall within the ambit of this definition. Is that what the proponents of the bill intended? And if not, it will be the duty of this committee to look at the wording of this bill and propose corrective measures. Thank you.
To your question, as OWUSU, any information minister, Papa Bio, Tiwe Busa, me do not want me to say. So, omu question is no mu busa say, Adiano Omunya or Ghana, and also mu busa because say, Omuna ye chairman on board into no so busa question, Mintiasam Nasi. As the OWUSU was more walking, or Sansu incite public against or mobile or more passes, says I build the crack also, best tia or refonzu. Utiasam walker. Ko comment na se enko for sale mamunzu ye lesbian na mamunzu ye lesbian comment enko for church wa se no because of question okobusa yenti Sam George question okobusa Sam George nti so enchiremu enko for dia ben still na no munti ase mo parliamentarians na ale mo so ebidi tumu ho sebe parliament when ebi so e dey share enko for to ho
$80,000 was used to purchase that office. As we sit here now, there are NGOs who have been funded and are doing community push for the LGBT movement. There is a lot of activity pushing for this. So I can't understand how somebody who is engaged in something that from all the scientific evidence we've thrown here clearly is problematic. And I can tell you, no real homosexual will want to stay in what he's doing. Because having sex through the anus, using the penis through feces, how can that be proper? Or a lady opening herself up to be licked by animals. That can't be right. So if the person says, I want to stay in it, then he needs help.
Let me ask you another question.
Yes.
Are you aware of oral sex?
Yes.
Are you aware that this bill criminalizes it?
We say we're criminalizing oral sex between same-sex persons. That is what. No, we say. If you look at the law actually indicates...
No, this bill is proposing that...
Yes, it's proposing.
Oral sex is abnormal.
No.
Yes, it's one of the... Well,
no,
the
but what we are saying... Okay, well... Okay, well...
Now you go back.
Well, I was not going to go... I couldn't respond to it, but the proponents of the bill will want to probably help. But I'm indicating that in the law, the definition under Section 6 of what constitutes LGBT plus activities are all listed there. And we state that it's oral sex between same-sex partners. That is what we have criminalized. That is what we've criminalized. But if you look at Section 104, even anal sex between so-called heterosexuals, I don't want to think that it is the opposite of the other. Heterosexuals are the opposite of homosexual. It's just like saying me sitting here, and Mr. Chairman, let me just explain something to you. For example, as I sit here, I'm not the opposite of Esla sitting there. I'm an albino. Albinism is a recessive gene. She is the normal gene. She is the straight gene, right? So I'm indicating that at the end of the day, you cannot say that I'm her opposite. No, that's not how you got to put it. So it is not as if to say heterosexuals are the opposite of homosexual activity. No, that shouldn't be the case. If somebody doesn't want to be helped, then clearly he's gone beyond what he's doing, and he needs to be restrained from, doing acts that will be contrary to what our society and our values admit. An example is the kleptomaniac I've referred to. Can I deal quickly with Esla's question about recantation? Now, the word recant just means you resile from your position. And we will actually, the process of recantation is not new. Currently in Finland, there is a law that bans what they call hate speech. If a Christian states a Christian position as to the fact that the Bible disallows homosexual activity, that is considered to be hate speech. There's a member of the Finnish parliament who's currently being prosecuted. And the law says that if that offender recants, they use the same word, recant, then he can be admitted to probation. So it is not a new word. And the word just means you move away from that position. And the supervision from saying that you've recanted will be done under proper psychological help so that people don't use this as an excuse to run away from the punishment. Now, if you look at the structure of the law is to ensure, because The homosexual strategy, as we have identified, is that we distinguish between those who are genuinely homosexuals, the ones that have been described through peer pressure, hormonal problems, psychosocial problems. Those people are the ones we want to guide away from that behavior. And from all the experience this coalition has had over 8 years of dealing with hundreds of homosexuals, not one have we found to be the classic way, example, oh, I don't want to be helped. They all want help. Those are the ones we want to guide away. So even when they are during investigation, during arrest, during sentencing, even incarceration, if they realize that, oh, there's a problem, and they say they need help, then there will be no incarceration. So really the purpose of the law is to guide those who really need help to come and seek the help that they want. But those who want to fund it, who want to promote it, who want to advertise it, why would you want to promote something you are prohibiting? And the data and the statistics are clear on how promotion, we're talking about glamorization. If you say you like it, you love it, you wouldn't change, and you are allowed to form clubs in schools, in colleges, that is a push. My dear sister talked about 97%. Why are the 3% threatened? Sweetheart, if you go to your school at Infanseman, it is getting worse. If you go to Infanseman, we were there for 2 weeks. If you go to Wesley Girls, it is getting worse by the day. The evidence that we see is that in the secondary schools and in the universities, there's a pileup. And since we started this campaign, we have been inundated. You have no idea the number of these young people that we need to guide away from such a behavior. And if we don't, the strategy of the LGBT more, you saw the agenda. They have brought money into this country. In fact, $200 million.
I think we've had enough of you, and you've really made your point. At this juncture, I think you are becoming emotional. Sorry about that.
Oh,
but
not really.
You have educated us a lot.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm not too sure about the word
you are becoming
emotional.
Passionate.
Well,
yes.
Mr. Chairman, Esla is more passionate than I am. And
she hasn't spoken yet.
No, she has. And I take it that you are not using the word passionate as being pejorative.
Yeah.
And let me explain. Mr. Chairman, if you
I'm
can give me a second.
cut you because it's time for lunch.
No, you should allow me to speak. You see, I am passionate because I see these people on a daily basis.
Now you see,
yes, I'm explaining. Yes,
people believe in what you are saying. People don't believe in what you are saying.
Very few of them.
And yes, even if it is one person.
That is
and
so.
we here, as a committee, we have a responsibility to listen to everybody and make our judgments.
That is so. But the committee...
we've had enough of what you have said, even to the extent of explaining medically the consequences of all this. And from the psychological point, from the mental point of view, from the physical point of view, this is a well-researched position. So we are grateful, but we see members of parliament, I'm not saying we are old, but Honorable Avuka is amongst us.
Well,
so
Mr. Chairman,
we have already exceeded our time, and we may want to break for lunch now. And we would have to break for, it's 14:33.
Tie papa injiri mu ano den. Wo de wati, baby a me bema me sie ya me body aye gasi. Uzinchina ompe ekwonaba wa. Me to na ade bewura. E de asem so kura ne aba bi hie. Obetimi do comment egu ase ho amaye ne enso ya kenkan. Ye de wo hase eton news. Obaso na wo kire wa adwena ye very important. Na yetimi ehunu no ma wo koso wo Ghana. Empanyifo so hwe program no comment omo kan pa. Ehunu de wo Ghana fo adwenem. It will comment very important to us. Nyame hira obetimi ahye no obi so anya bi ahwe. Me di de ekwonaba boaten.